welcome to Arise. Great to be back. And as you can see tonight, I've got the wonderful Brenda Emmanus to co-host with us tonight.
Hello. Hi, all.
If it's the first time you've been Arise, I'll just tell you a little bit about it. We've been going for a couple of years now, and it gives people like ourselves the opportunity to hear what some of our stars or very important people are doing in the community, and we kind of have a little interview and a little chin wag, and generally just find out what they're up to. And being International Women's Day yesterday, we thought we'd do an International Women's Day special. Hence, we've got a lot of women here tonight.
Well, yeah, we've got some three very special guests indeed, haven't we?
Yes.
You haven't done anything by half this time round.
No.
At all.
We have Paulette Simpson from Jamaica National. You got any Jamaicans?
Why you have to be so divisive so early?
Oh.
Have we got members of the Caribbean fraternity in the house? And our African brothers and sisters? Thank you.
That's a bit.
Just want to keep war outside.
Oh, okay. All right. We've got the lovely Angie Greaves.
And that lovely voice. I love Angie's voice. I just love her voice.
And we've got the very delightful Greer.
Who I adore. So I'm really excited about all of this. All women that I really admire and love. So there'll be enough chatting from us. I don't know about you. You'll probably just be sitting there drinking your water.
Well, yeah, I kind of just guide you along, and I'll make sure that
I'm in good hands.
Yes.
So you tell me.
You know that.
All right.
So our first guest is in the world of finance. She represents Jamaica. She's head of Jamaica National here in the UK. Probably don't see her too much, but she's a very important lady. Put your hands together and welcome Paulette Simpson from Jamaica National.
Your fans are waiting for you, Paulette. Give her a round of applause. Make her feel welcome onto the stage. Good to see you. Good to see you. Now, where do you sit, sir? I think.
Paulette Simpson, Senior Manager, Corporate Affairs, Public Policies, JNBS.
What do you put on your CV? What do you put on your passport?
I know, I just abbreviate it, JNBS.
How long has it taken you to get to this point, Paulette?
It has taken me about 11 years with this organization to reach this point, but the journey has been one where I've had several roles and eventually evolved into this role.
Had it always been your ambition to go into banking and finance? Were you always good with figures?
No, I hate figures.
What?
Don't tell my boss. What? Well, I started out in the city with one of the major chartered accounting firms. And I decided I wanted to be an auditor, and I was going to be, save the world and do all the finances. And then after 6 months of being with this organization, I thought, no, I don't want to be figures. I want to be more a people person, where I can share with people and learn about them. And most importantly, when you start out by being in the city, you're somewhat devolved from your own culture. So I was there doing well, but in an environment that I really didn't relate to. And since I had to work so hard, I decided, let me work hard for a Caribbean organization where I know that my brothers and sisters will benefit. So then, after being there for about 5 years, I then moved and started working with Caribbean-based institutions.
You hear so much about women who work in the cities, and the ones I know that work there, they either get so fed up that they leave and start their own thing, do their own business, or they have to build networks around them in order to survive. What is it like? Why is it that kind of, or is it the perception we have of it, of being so male-oriented, so dog-eat-dog, so...
It is, well, there are two factors. It is a male-dominated environment, but it's a male, white, old-dominated. So somebody like me, no disrespect intended, but somebody like me could not relate to them, right? So from a work point of view, you can do your job, and technicalities is not the problem. But the problem is you can't sit and what did you have for dinner? Did you have oxtail? And, you can't do that. It's a fish and chips that I don't relate to. But then even more importantly, after the work, part of the working life is really interacting with persons after work. No, really, I'm really not a pub person.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to get plastered on a Friday evening and not know what train I am to go home. That's not my culture. So you find your cultural, you can lose your cultural identity. There are two things you can lose. You can either be a woman pretending to be a man in a man's world, so you lose your femininity, or you can lose your cultural center. So you have to be very strong to stay there and succeed in that world, but also maintain your identity in your world.
Was there an aha moment you thought, you know what, enough already? Was there just a straw that broke the camel's back?
It wasn't actually. I was there and I know it was good experience. And I think they wanted me there to train me to then send me to Jamaica to work for them. But halfway through you realize you have to have a reason to get up every morning. You have to have a reason to be at your desk till 9 p.m. So you have to have something that gives you that drive. And after a while I was saying, well, what's the drive? You know, I really didn't really want to go in and face that. So I decided, in fact, that's not entirely true. I was there, beavering along, and then I was headhunted. Somebody said, and I said, yes, there is a Lord. So then I just happily went along.
So how difficult is it to operate Jamaica National? Because we're not the most easiest people to deal
No,
with.
they give trouble. Why?
I haven't got
They
a clue.
give trouble.
So they say.
They give trouble. But you know, it's your own people, and you're doing something that's benefiting them. For many years, they've existed in the UK, and they bank with all the various banking institutions. And you know how it is. You want most Jamaicans, or most Caribbean people who come here, they come for 5 years. 5 years. And then they have the first anniversary of the 5th year, then the second anniversary, and 50 years later, they are still here only for 5 years. So what we do, we help them realize that dream and go home before they can't go home. So it is important for them to respect you, and it's important for you to give them the level of service they're accustomed to in this environment. So you have to be familiar with them because you know their lives, you know the hardship they're going through, but at the same time you have to ensure that you maintain professionalism. Because what some of them will do, and I have a staff member here, Khalil, he'll attest to that, they will go to the high street bank and they behave themselves. Yes, sir, no, sir. Yes, you know, but they come in, I'm a want something now, you know, and I'm ready to body you up. So you have to maintain that. You have to relate to them, but you have to ensure that they respect you for the service you're giving them at that point in time. So when they see me in halls, and they can yow me. But when I'm behind my desk, don't yow me, because I'm dealing with your money.
Yes. I mean, what is the major difference between a bank and a building society?
Well, in this country, there's not much difference between a bank and a building society because a building society can give the same services of a bank. But the essence of a building society is that it is a mutual organization, which means we don't have shareholders who are hell-bent on getting profits from every transaction. Everybody who has an account is a shareholder. It's like the nationwide, right? So if you have an account, no matter how much money you have one share. So you're owned by your membership. And that is why we operate slightly different, because we're accountable to our members. So we have to ensure we do a lot of community work. We have to ensure that we do things to benefit our members and their families. But that can work to our disadvantage, you know, because when they're angry, they say, listen, I'm your boss and I own you, because they know that they have shares. So that's the essence. But in Jamaica, for example, a building society can't give a checkbook, and it can't give like a credit card, and it can't give a certain type of loan, because the banking laws, they are very strict. And that is why, like Jamaica National, by the end of the year, we hope to be a bank in Jamaica, which means that we can provide more services to persons in Jamaica and in the UK and all over the world, because it's not only Jamaicans that bank with us.
Are you finding more and more people want to return home, or they can't because of the situation they found themselves here? What are the challenges for you?
Well, about 15, 20 years ago, there were a lot of people going home, right? Because that was the Windrush people who were then going home. And we thought, okay, business is going to go down because there are not so many people going home. But what we find is a new breed of persons that are going home. You have the professionals who have self-actualized here, and they want to have a higher quality of life. They want to own their own business. They're now focused on doing something that will benefit society and a society that they belong in. So they are going home. So they are saving at home. They are buying houses at home, and they're not buying $2 million houses either. They're buying houses further up the scale, and people save for that purpose. So what we do, we give mortgages for persons who want to to purchase property in Jamaica, or we just help persons to save towards their dream in Jamaica. And some persons just save in Jamaica to benefit Jamaica. They don't need to save in Jamaica, trust me. But they do that because they know it's with a country that they have their roots in and they want to support that country.
Is Jamaica National heavily scrutinised? You know, because we hear them sort of looking at banks and we know, do they pay a little bit more attention?
All right, let me be diplomatic now. They know we're here and they do pay attention to us, yes.
You know, because we hear a lot of stories about money being transferred and in Jamaica, that's a very high portion of the business that's done, money transfer.
Well, money transfer is one of our subsidiaries, and there's a lot of money moving. Put it this way, Jamaica is one of the countries that you have the higher percent of GDP is dependent on remittances. So remittances for Jamaica earns more foreign exchange than tourism, than bauxite, and of course there's no sugar banana anymore. So if the persons, and the UK is one of the countries that support Jamaica the most in terms of remittances. So if the UK one week decide we're not sending money to anybody in Jamaica for whatever reason, we would not be able to import oil, we would not be able to import a lot of things, because that foreign exchange is critical to the country. And people who send money home, they send money to support their relatives and friends. Tourism can decide, a tourist can decide, I'm not going to Jamaica. So you have this, the main flow of money in Jamaica and foreign exchange is from the UK. Not so much from the USA, not so much from Canada, mainly from the UK. And that's why the government have to pay the UK attention, and they really have to listen to what happens here, because we directly impact the economy of Jamaica.
Would you like to be a bank here?
Well, that question has come several times. To be a bank here, first you have to have a huge deposit. And you have to jump through all the hoops of not only the UK law, but the European law. It is not impossible, because you have Bank of Cyprus, Bank of India, Bank of here. So, but we will get there one day. But the first step is having a bank at home. And once we do that, we'll have the foundation and the grounding to have a branch of a bank here.
And how long do you think before that's a reality?
Well, say we get the banking license at the end of the year, so it's probably another 3-4 years. Because, you know, you have to prove yourself and you have to behave yourself and you have to show them that you are as good as the bankers here in order to get a license to work here. But we believe that, and when we say, although I say Jamaica is the Caribbean, we're the 4th largest institution in the Caribbean. So, and we're one of the only indigenous organizations, meaning that Jamaica National is 100% Jamaican owned. No Canada, no USA, no UK, right? So it is important for us to serve the whole Caribbean basin. Right, so like money transfer, we do Guyana, we do Barbados, we do St. Kitts, we do St. Vincent, and as the years go on, we'll expand more in the Caribbean. But we realize that as an organization and as a people, in order to succeed, you've got to come together. See, Europe is doing it, they're having their challenges, but they've come together. And one can debate how successful that is. But although we have CARICOM, there needs to be more attention placed on working together as a region, because then we can balance out each other. And then we are no longer a dot in the world. We are a region that has value to the world, and that when we speak, people will listen.
Do you think, with your experience of money and the weight and the power that money can bring, do you think we should be educating our kids more about money and its power and its use and how to manage more?
Most definitely, and we don't do it enough. You see, there are two types. Let's look at it two ways. Most of us, when our parents came here, we came as workers. So everybody knows the story, work in the underground, when we work in the buses, we were workers. Now it's changing, we're becoming entrepreneurs. So we're owning our own hairdressers, our own barbers, our own takeaway, our own legal firm, etc. So there's a shift. But we've got to educate our children in how to manage money, because it's very important. Other cultures do it. Some cultures, if they have a shop, you're gonna see the father at the shop and you're gonna see the child at the shop. The child is not upstairs watching TV. They're there serving the customers. And from a very early age, they learn to handle money, to deal with money, and to manage money. So that when they grow up, it's not hard for them to do that. If they don't get used to money at an early age and learn to balance money, then when they grow older, even if they get a lot of money, it's hard for them to hold on to it and to invest it in a certain way. For example, there are some persons, and we do a lot of advice to small business, and they believe when they set up a shop or whatever it is, the money they get, they think it's theirs. They don't realize they got to pay the salaries, they got to pay this. Profit is what you can spend, but you have to pay yourself. And you have to treat it as an organized structure. You must have a proper accountant. You must have a proper lawyer because they negotiate your contracts. You've got to manage your debtors. So if, for example, you have difficulty collecting your money because it's a one-man operation, so what most people do, they make the goods, they sell the goods, and they collect the money. Get somebody else to collect your money so you can concentrate on what you do best, cooking or sewing or being the lawyer. So I think within our community, we have an entrepreneurial spirit, but managing it in an effective way, we need some help there.
So what drives Paulette? Money?
No. The fact that I left the city to work with a Caribbean is not money that drives me. What drives me is I was very fortunate to be brought up in the Caribbean. And in the Caribbean, you see different levels. You see poverty, you see very rich people, you see very poor people. And somehow, your conscience have to guide you. So when you reach a certain level in life, you have to know, you have to put something back in society. You have to benefit your people. If your people as a race will grow. Now, if somebody didn't invest in me, I wouldn't be here. So I have a moral duty to invest in my community or to an individual. And at the end of the day, when you're old and gray, it is your community that's looking after you and keeping you going. So different things drive people, but money is not my driver, no.
And we're celebrating International Women's Day yesterday.
Yes.
What do you most want to celebrate, A, being a black woman, and as black women in general, be it our history, our legacy?
Yes. I think there are a lot of black women, and I'm going to take that question in three ways. As a race, the women are very important to the fabric of society. If you don't treat women well, and if women don't feel confident and have good self-esteem, your children won't have it because they're the one that nurture the children most of the time.
Do you want to make notes?
Right?
I'm taking it in.
Right? So if a woman doesn't feel good about herself, she's not going to give that confidence to her daughter. She's not going to give that confidence to her son. And without confidence and self-esteem, no matter how bright you are, you won't make it. You have to know who you are. And the woman in the home does that. And I think that is probably downplayed a little bit. The other thing is that women have to be kind to each other. We tend not to be so kind to each other, right? And I think if we appreciate each other more and we assist each other more and we show love to each other, we can quarrel. I'm not asking for a perfect world. We quarrel, but at the end of the day, at the end of that, you're a black woman. No matter what you do, you deserve my respect and I deserve your respect. And we come together like this and we, as a group, we enjoy each other's success. Because if you're successful, I must celebrate your success. Because your success is my success. Because I'm going to go outside and I'm going to say, boy, no, Daddy Ernie, and he's done so well. And it makes me proud. If we all do that, then it will engender more community spirit. And it will engender more harmony and peace in the society. And other people, other races looking on will respect us more because we respect ourselves. If you don't respect yourself, then nobody's going to respect you. So for women generally, I think we're getting there because I think sisters are getting more used to celebrating sisters now. I think the men can do a little bit more. It's not only respecting a woman sexually, but it's respecting a woman for the role she plays in society. But first, women have to feel empowered within themselves.
All right.
Enough said on that.
Yeah, you know.
We're being wound up.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you've got money to invest, go and see Jamaica National. They've got a stall there. They'll give you all the information a little bit later on, and maybe you can go and see Paulette in her office. Paulette, thank you very much.
We're taking questions as well, aren't we?
Later on,
Right,
we'll be
okay.
taking some questions from the floor.
Thank you, Maida.
All right.
Give her a round of applause, please.
Thank you.
Our next guest is from a world that you're familiar with.
Indeed.
She used to wake us up in the morning on the now defunct Choice FM. She's gone on to be quite possibly our top female presenter.
I shouldn't have stepped on the carpet and it might stay off the carpet.
Oh, okay. In radio. In radio. She hosts the #1 drive time program in the UK for possibly the past 6 or 7 years. I know you know